right next.
Yes.
Oh, this is one of my favorite people in all of Louisiana, actually anywhere. Bishop Charles Edward Wallace, pastor of Oasis Christian Church, right over there on East Brookstown, right near where the Inspiration Center will stand in the very near future. My friend, how are you?
I'm doing great, Clay. How are you?
So you've been here to see all the great things that EBR is doing and Walker is doing with nutrition and feeding the bodies. Let's talk about feeding the mind, man.
Yeah.
People are so in chaos and toxicity right now. What's your perspective on the mindset of people moving around us now?
Well, Clay, you know, I'm a pastor, so everything comes out of me comes from that perspective. And the first message that Jesus proclaimed, think about this, he dealt with the mind.
Okay.
He said, repent, which simply means change your mind for the better. Because mindset determines behavior. Mm-hmm. He didn't say stop doing this, stop doing that, because that's pointless. You can only get a person to change their ways when you get them to change their mind. Mm-hmm. And so the mind is, as a man thinketh, so is he. We become a product of our thinking.
You know, you've done a great number of things there at Oasis in the time that I've known you. Built a bigger structure over there, as you call it, the bigger barn. Yeah. Purchased some land behind where the church is to do some expansion for the community. And I'm really into evolving and trying to find new ways to challenge myself. How do you stay motivated? Like, how do you keep focused on what's next and not get too caught up in what you did or what you're doing right now?
Yeah. Well, I often tell people the worst place to be is where God used to be. When we're always looking back, it hinders our forward progress. What helps me is to continue to do something. Mm-hmm. We were created to wear out and not rust out. So every day I get up with something to do. I go to bed with what I'm going to do the next day. I tell people, if you go to bed with nothing on your mind, God is not obligated to wake you up. You're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's always, you can always see something that needs to be done. And that's the motivation, that's part of your purpose, and purpose keep you alive. If you want to stay alive, continue to do something.
I know people talk to you about, you know, either being discouraged or trying to work their ways through the fog of everything that people deal with in regular everyday life. What's your advice for people who are kind of in a down season in their life right now?
Well, sometimes you have to motivate yourself. Again, your purpose keep you alive. We all have these ups and downs. I call it spiritual depression. You got to overcome it, persevere. That's what life is all about, spiritually, naturally, in every way. You got to keep pushing, keep grinding, keep going. You have to encourage yourself and surround yourself with people that will encourage you and lift you up. We all need that kind of support.
Let's lean in on that one right there about your circle, who you surround yourself with. I remember way back in school, somebody told me, show me your friends and I'll tell you your future.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about the circle, guarding your circle and paying attention to who's in it.
Well, you know, association brings about assimilation. You become a product of your surrounding.
Yeah.
And so the Bible says, how can two walk together except they agree? So your friends usually find you on the same path that you're traveling because you're all going the same way. If we're going in different directions, we become a distraction to each other. So 3 things I say a person you have in your circle should be able to do in your life. First of all, they should add to your life. Your life should be better as a result of them being there. They should protect your life. That is, in your absence, they won't let anybody assassinate you. They'll stop them.
Protect your character.
If they don't protect you in your absence, they won't protect you in your presence. And then the other one is that they should correct your life.
Okay.
You should have people in your life that love you enough to tell you about the error of your way.
Listen, I want to pick Bishop's brain about leadership and being optimistic and how we can teach our children to be optimistic and not so pessimistic in this world where people are ripping people apart. Bishop Wallace is the pastor of the Oasis Christian Church, and we'll be back with him in just a moment. Back with Bishop Wallace. So here's a question. What is your definition of leadership?
Example. You be a leader. You don't talk leader, you be a leader. Leader lead. And you lead by example. I get that's a biblical principle. God never asked us to do anything that he didn't do. Jesus got baptized in the Jordan River. Naaman didn't want to get baptized in the Jordan because he said the water was dirty, but it was clean enough for Jesus. So we lead in our church, in our family, we lead by example. We get there and we show them how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's how you inspire other people to follow you.
How do you impart, or can you impart, leadership traits in children when they're very young, even outside of just the example you set? Because sometimes they, depending on the age, they may not understand certain decisions that have to be made. How do you impart leadership early?
Well, that's a good thing, Clay, that it takes a lot of time to talk about. But parents usually don't recognize the leadership in their children until they get a certain age. Children begin to display leadership at a very early age.
Okay.
And so what we should do is nurture them in that particular area. For an example, if your child is always bringing home a stray dog or stray cat or want to find a frog, you may have a zoologist in the house.
Right.
But you telling them if you bring another one in, I'm gonna, and you might be killing a dream.
Right, right.
You see? So they always want to jump and run. You may have an astronaut.
Yeah.
And you saying to them, if you run out of this or jump again. So we have to be able to look at them. And I think that's what the Bible means, say train them up when they're young.
Yeah.
And then when they're older, they won't depart from it. You actually point them into the direction. That word train actually means lead them down the track.
So fantastic. You know, you and I talk about this often, but not dwelling on people that most would call haters. We pretty much avoid it. You are so steadfast in not letting people penetrate, and I try to practice the same thing because what you can't do anything to change people criticizing you anyway. But that's a big subject, and I'd like to move to overcoming what the haters say. What's your advice?
Well, become successful.
Do it anyway.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing that I've learned about haters and opposition. They help perfect your prayer life.
Yeah.
They keep you on your knees.
That's right.
And they help perfect your love walk.
Yeah.
So you grow in an area that you may not have grown
without
if you
them.
didn't have them. So they're an asset to you, but they don't know it.
They don't know it.
They mean it for harm.
Yeah.
But God works it out for your good.
So, you know, we got about a minute left. What's your personal philosophy, ethic about attacking every day and trying to be better?
Well, you heard this said, teamwork make the dream work. If we can all work together, we got so much division, so much acidity in every area of our lives. We're dealing with it all day long. If we can realize that we're better together, Clay, I need you and you need me. You bring something to the table, I bring something to the table. I say, we don't want to wait until we get to heaven and God tell us, y'all should have been getting along. This didn't make no sense at all.
Right.
And we realize it then. Let's realize it now. Let's work together, work in a harmonious way, and we could change our city, our state, and eventually change the world.
20 seconds, Wes. I got a little more time? Okay, I want to tell a story. Right before the flood of 2016, right after Alton Sterling was murdered and those police officers were murdered, Cedric Richmond and Garrett Graves pulled together a group and they asked me to facilitate a conversation. And in the room was a number of ministers and community people, and there was a dialogue, and it was this close from probably becoming a fist fight. And people talking about grievances, right? And then Bishop Wallace got a chance to speak and talked about division and talked about not leaning into division. not even being around people who speak divisive language. And the whole room got quiet. And the energy of that entire room changed. I was in there, I saw it myself. So I saw that in action. So quickly here, Oasis Christian Church, East Brookstown, 4524. East Brookstown.
Right.
I need to go see Bishop. I'll have you back, Bishop. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right,
All
see y'all next week.
Okay.